Okay, let's dive in. Today we are strapping on the smart sensors, hitting the virtual track, and taking a deep look into the future of high-performance training.
Hmm.
We're going to unpack how modern endurance athletes are training, you know, smarter, not just harder.
Mm-hmm.
Our source for this deep dive is a really comprehensive report from sundry.com. It's titled 10 Must-Try Fitness Trends for 2026, the ultimate guide to what's next.
Yeah.
And the core message is that we're moving past that old more miles, more sweat mentality. Sundried calls it a precision-engineered approach to the body.
Treating the human body like the high-value asset it is.
Exactly.
And what's so fascinating here is that the whole fitness landscape is being redefined. It's this convergence of three big things.
Okay.
You've got technological precision, you have these evolved physiological methods, and then this whole human approach to well-being. They're all coming together.
Right. It's not just about the legs and lungs anymore.
No, you have to train the entire system. And the tools we have now, well, they let us manage that system with incredible accuracy.
And speaking of tools, the #1 trend that Sundried flags is technological integration. Wearable tech is basically the foundation for this whole data revolution.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just tracking our effort anymore, we're predicting our potential. And that shift it's monumental, isn't it? We used to use our watches just to see what we did.
Right, your pace from yesterday's run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now technology is telling us what we should do tomorrow. It's gone from observation to, consultation.
And that's all powered by the rise of artificial intelligence platforms. The AI is the real game changer here.
Yeah.
These systems, they analyze this massive stack of biometrics, your heart rate, your sleep, your entire performance history, to build training programs that are, well, they're fluid, they adapt, they're basically digital coaches.
That sounds impressive, but for someone listening, does a digital coach just sound like a fancy spreadsheet? What makes it truly different?
It's the real-time adjustment. That's a key. That's what prevents burnout. So let's say the AI detects a big drop in your heart rate variability, your HRV.
Whoa, hang on. For the listener who isn't, neck deep in these specs, can you give us the quick version of why we should care about HRV?
Of course. So HRV, it measures the tiny variations between your heartbeats. A low number means your nervous system is stressed. It's in that fight or flight mode.
Meaning you're not recovering.
Exactly. And when the AI sees that signal, it doesn't just, send you an email suggesting you rest. It immediately recalibrates that hard interval session you had planned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it might change it to a recovery run instead. It proactively stops you from digging yourself into a physiological hole.
So we're managing our biological resources before we break down. And Sundried mentions it can predict injury, too. How on earth does it know my hamstring is about to pull?
It's all about analyzing these tiny, subtle shifts in your gait mechanics, or maybe your vertical oscillation, how much you bounce when you run. The system flags that fatigue before you even feel it. It's like an early warning system.
This is where it gets really interesting on the engagement side. With the growth of immersive training environments, we're talking VR workouts, smart home gyms.
Mm-hmm.
And the source notes that VR actually reduces how hard the workout feels.
Which is a huge psychological benefit. If it feels easier, you can push harder, you can go longer. It's a massive win for building endurance. And you see systems like AeroLeap, the smart home gym, integrating all of it. AI coaching, smart resistance, everything.
So if the AI is handling all the numbers, the load management, the injury prediction, what's left for the human coach to do?
The human coach has to evolve. They become this hybrid, part data scientist, part behavioral psychologist. The AI handles the numbers, but the coach needs the emotional intelligence to interpret them and manage the athlete's actual life.
Right. They shift from being a drill sergeant to more of a high-level performance manager.
Exactly.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take these digital insights and see how they apply to physical training. The report highlights this huge inefficiency for amateurs, what it calls the moderate intensity trap.
Yes. This is probably the biggest takeaway from how the world's elite athletes train. The dominant model is called polarized training. It follows a very strict intensity distribution, the 80-20 protocol.
Okay, lay out that 80-20 breakdown for us. What does that actually look like?
So about 80% of your training volume is at low intensity, zone 1. This is where you build your big aerobic engine without creating a lot of stress.
Okay.
Then maybe 15 to 20% is at high intensity, zone 3. That's for speed and VO2 max. And this is the critical part, less than 10% is in the middle, in zone 2.
So why is that middle zone, the one that feels pretty comfortable for most of us, such a trap?
Because it's a metabolic gray zone. It's hard enough to make you tired so you're never fully recovered, but it's too easy to trigger those peak adaptations you get from the hard zone 3 work.
So you're basically too tired for the hard days, but your easy days aren't actually easy.
You've got it. The whole point is to make the easy days truly easy so you can make the hard days truly hard.
That takes a lot of discipline. So for the average person who doesn't have a performance lab, what's the tactical tip?
Just use RPE, rate of perceived exertion. It's super simple. If you can hold a full conversation, you're in zone 1.
Okay.
If you're so out of breath you can only get out a few words at a time, you're in zone 3. The trap is in the middle, where you can only speak in short phrases.
Got it. So next up is structural integrity. The report calls functional strength training, or FST, a non-negotiable pillar.
It is. And we're not talking about bodybuilding here. FST is about multi-joint dynamic movements. For a runner, the benefit is improved running economy.
How does that work?
Well, the research shows FST improves your muscle tendon stiffness. It basically turns your legs into better springs. You get more force for the same amount of energy.
So we're making the asset more resilient. But training isn't just physical. Sundried points out that the brain is often the first muscle to give out.
Which is why we're seeing the rise of brain endurance training, or BE. It's a method where you integrate cognitive tasks like solving patterns on a screen while you're exercising.
Wow, so you're intentionally overloading the brain while the body is already under stress.
Exactly. You're training your mind to resist mental fatigue.
What kind of impact does that have?
The stats are pretty staggering, actually. One study showed up to a 24% improvement in endurance performance for athletes doing BT,
24%.
compared to just 12% for the group doing physical training alone. The goal is to improve what's called response inhibition, basically, getting better at ignoring that little voice in your head telling you to quit.
That is fascinating. Before we move on, the source also briefly mentions a shift to block periodization.
Yeah, that's just about scheduling. Instead of one long training cycle, athletes are using shorter, focused blocks of maybe 5 to 10 weeks. It lets you have multiple peak performances in a year, which is better for a complex race calendar.
Okay, so if we tie all this together, the core philosophy, as you said, is that you can't out-train bad recovery.
Absolutely not. The training is the stimulus, but recovery is where the adaptation happens. That's where you get your return on investment.
So let's talk about that ROI. Precision nutrition and hydration. What are the big trends there?
Well, we're seeing a big shift to whole foods, more plant-based proteins like pea and hemp and Mediterranean-style diets. For supplements, things like adaptogens to manage cortisol and collagen for soft tissue health are becoming standard.
And the hydration tech is just, it's wild.
It really is. We now have continuous biosensors, like the Nix biosensor, that analyze your sweat in real time.
In real time.
Yep. So it tells you exactly how much fluid and what specific electrolytes you need to replace moment by moment. It basically eliminates performance-killing dehydration.
And recovery itself is now this active, tech-driven process. We see all the gadgets, cryotherapy, compression boots, massage guns.
Right. Those are all active recovery modalities. They help reduce inflammation or speed up cellular healing. But the most critical tool is still the cheapest one: sleep.
Of course.
And wearables are now tracking sleep stages, so you're aiming for specific REM and deep sleep targets. If you miss those targets, a good AI coach pulls the plug on the next day's hard workout.
This all sounds so intense. It also sounds like a direct path to overtraining syndrome if you mess it up.
That's the danger. Prevention means you have to proactively monitor everything: your HRV, your sleep, but also your mood, your motivation. And the rule is strict. You need more than 6 hours of rest between hard sessions to avoid systemic collapse. It's about longevity.
Okay, that covers the micro-level trends. So let's zoom out to the broader industry context that Sundried talks about. The definition of an athlete seems to be expanding.
It absolutely is. Fitness programs are now targeting the 65-plus age group. That's the fastest growing segment. And the lines are blurring between sport and wellness. You see things like high-intensity yoga or sensory fitness classes.
And virtual communities are changing the game, too. Things like physical esports are creating global competition without anyone having to leave their home.
Right. It's democratizing performance. But now for the most valuable part: the tactical application. For you, the listener, trying to fit this into a busy life, this is the Sundried Roundup.
All right, give us the action points. How do we start doing this today?
Okay, first, audit your stress. Use an AI-integrated platform that adjusts your workouts based on that data. Respect the data. Second, commit to 2 functional strength training sessions a week. And third, prioritize 8 hours of sleep. As they say, you have to sleep for speed.
What about the person who's totally time crunched, say they only have 3 hours a week?
It's all about quality over quantity. Use that block periodization mindset. You do one 45-minute high-intensity interval session, one 45-minute tempo run, and then one 90-minute session that's either FST or a long, slow run. You eliminate the gray zone completely.
That's a powerful 3-hour recipe. So if we had to pull the top 3 takeaways from this whole deep dive, what are they?
Number 1, respect the data.
Yeah.
Use HRV or your sleep score as a daily go gauge. Number 2, polarize your efforts. Keep easy days easy so hard days can be hard. And number 3, train your brain. Start conditioning your mind to handle fatigue.
The conclusion here seems pretty clear. The future of training is all about using strategic, precise input to maximize your output. It's about engineering a high-performance life, not just training for one event.
And that raises one last interesting question. If virtual communities and hyper-personalized data are making high performance accessible to everyone, how does the definition of an elite athlete change? What happens when the biggest competitive advantage isn't raw talent, but who has the best access to and understanding of their own recovery data? Something to mull over.